What's up, y'all? It's Mr. White. I'm back here with Test Hack for a little AP US history. We're going to take this scary DBQ from scary to merry. All right, let's go. All right, when you're doing the DBQ, just know that it's typically 25% of the exam, so very important piece. Oftentimes my students call it the scariest part. So we're gonna poke a few holes in that. We're gonna make this thing real simple, and the biggest thing is don't get cute. All right, here's how you make a 7 out of 7. First, you must have a thesis, right? If you do not have a thesis, which is a defensible, debatable statement, either found in your introduction or conclusion, don't put it in your conclusion. Come on, don't be that guy, right? You'll do fine. So let's see, how do we write a thesis? Non-negotiables. When you're writing a thesis, these will kill your thesis. There's like a lot of stuff that's really bad, and several things make it really bad, right? That's lame. All right, do not use those in your thesis. Be specific, be complex, make it debatable. If you don't make an argument, right, you're not making a defensible thesis. So get that out of the way. Good. Here's the formula a lot of AP US teachers and AP world teachers are often taught to use. It's X, however ABC, therefore Y. In this formula, X is what you do not agree with, right? This is your evidence, your support, and Y is your statement or your argument. So there's two sides, X and Y. You can decide whatever it wants to be. Let's do an example here. Something I'm passionate about is teaching. So let's take this prompt. Teaching is the most important profession in the world, and everyone should consider it a possible career choice. So since I love teaching, why don't I just do the opposite, right? So if the opposite, I forgot to make a pros and cons list. Pros, satisfying. Summer's off, right? Con, not respected in society. No! So here's my thesis statement. Teaching is an emotionally satisfying profession, right? Now, I typically agree with that, but I'll make it the opposite. So that's going to be my X. I'll find 3 things that will be my evidence: consistently the bottom pay scales, work at home without just compensation, and a lack of respect in society. Therefore, unwise career choice for someone to do this as their profession. So that's the X, ABC, therefore Y. All right? So that's how you do it. Let's go to the next part, contextualization. This sounds like a really weird process to contextualize things. It really just means that you understand what's going on before the event, around the event, around the world. You're basically giving a setting, and this is typically going to be found in your first paragraph. Other important, you have these documents. If you use 3 of the documents to support your argument, you'll get 1 point for evidence. If you use 6 or more of the documents, you'll get 2 points. I always tell my students, use all the documents and you'll get these points. That way, if you use one incorrectly, you can still earn that second point. Evidence beyond the document. This is known as outside knowledge. So typically when you look at a document, it'll tell you who the author is. So let's say the author is Meriwether Lewis. It's not going to say Meriwether Lewis was part of the Corps of Discovery sent for the Louisiana Purchase and the expedition to map the West. It's not going to say that, but if you know that Meriwether Lewis was part of Lewis and Clark, right, a really great dynamic duo, right, then that'll give you evidence or outside knowledge, all right? Sourcing is a little bit more nuanced than that. So for sourcing, if you know that Meriwether Lewis was part of the Corps of Discovery, and maybe he gives a speech later in his life about national expansion, you would obviously understand that Meriwether Lewis would be supportive of expansion because he led this, this journey across America. And the last one, this is the hardest. You can't really teach complexity. It's either like you got it or you don't. It's typically, I think I've heard less than 2% of students will gain this point. If you get a 6 out of 7, you're going to be fine. You're going to get a 5. You're going to get into your dream school, and it's going to be fine. Complexity, when I go to these summer institutes and these reading sessions for AP, you can't really quantify or qualify it. It's just like, you know it when you see it. That's all I can tell you. And I really tell my students, if you do what is highlighted in red here, you'll be better than about 70% of all students. You'll pass the AP US History exam or World History exam, and you'll be just fine, okay? All right, let's move on to the next part. we got all these documents. So the documents are typically going to look like this. When I first introduce this to my students, I actually give them glue sticks, scissors, Sharpies, a big poster board. And what College Board wants you to do so you can take a dub from them is they want you to categorize them. The documents are going to be fitting into categories. They're not going to come out and yell and scream at you, but they're typically going to be in some sort of theme. Is it societal, religion? Is it political, economics? Is it things that are for a topic or against it? They're going to be categorized, and your job is to put them into their topics. So maybe topic 1 would be social, and maybe topic 2 would be religious, and maybe the next topic. That's what they want you to do. You also have to figure out, what is the reasoning process here? Is it cause and effect? Is it comparing and contrasting? Is it change and continuity over time? You need to know what is the skill they're looking for you to implement. So let's look at an actual one. This is the one from class. So here was the prompt they were given. They were given these documents down here, and the prompt said, with respect to the federal constitution, Jeffersonian Republicans are categorized as strict constructionists who were opposed to the broad constructionism of Federalists. To what extent was this characterized of the two parties accurate during Jefferson and Madison? So you got to make sure that your answer only pertains to the third and fourth president here. And you have to make sure you know, what does strict and broad or loose constructionism mean? So you get these topics, right? I have the kids go through it. Here's a kid that actually did it. You can see for the loose side, they categorize, these are things where the Democratic Republicans were very loose and they would expand the power of the government. And over here are examples where they're very strict and they would stay within the confines of the Constitution. All right, so they get them categorized. Now, I know on the exam you can't cut up your prompts and your documents, but I'm just saying this is a good visualization for your first time. They then wrote an amazing thesis. Look at this thesis, so complex. Democratic Republicans consider themselves strict constructionists that were unwilling to pass any government action not directly stated in the Constitution. However, their actions in the early 19th century, such as the Embargo Act, Thomas Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase, and his speech, Thomas Jefferson's speech on the Constitution, should be interpreted with a loose view to keep of the times. Therefore, they were not as strict to the Constitution as they stated they were during our nation's development. Wow, bravo. So they have their X, right? They say that they are strict and unwilling to change. Then they have their evidence. And then they have their Y, what they're going to actually state in this. So for this exercise, categorizing the documents, again, the thesis is the hardest part. Once you have this done, you just start writing, okay? Here's the format you want to follow. Don't get cute. Don't get cute. Don't get cute. All right. In your first paragraph, you want to contextualize. You want to set the background, and you want to have your thesis, right? This will get you 2 points. 1 for contextualization, 1 for a thesis. Your claim that has at least 3 points of evidence using multiple documents. Remember, you want to try to use 6 of those documents. Your second paragraph will be one of your weaker points, right? Historically correct claim for the documents. You want to bring in your outside knowledge here. This is where you could get some evidence beyond the documents, or you could get some sourcing points here. And now it's just formulaic. Your third paragraph will be your evidence number 2, right? Fourth would be evidence number 3. And all you need to do is bring in outside knowledge in 1, 2 of these instances, sourcing 1 or 2 of these instances. You're going to be sourcing through all these and bringing in outside knowledge. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're at 5 points. And in your conclusion, you'll restate the thesis, not word for word. Now, I know that you can technically include your thesis in the conclusion. Please don't do that. The readers are reading thousands and thousands of these DBQs, right? Follow this formula. That way they know that what you're doing. Also, don't quote the documents. The readers, they know all these documents forwards and backwards. They've read them thousands of times. Just use the documents as evidence. Like saying in document 1, Jefferson does blah, blah, blah. So, and then this shows his strict or loose constructionism, whatever your thesis is. All right. So that's the format we're following. We're taking this DBQ down, y'all. Right. We're going to take this DBQ. Look at it. Look how scary it is. Ah! Boom. Now it's not. Right. And there you are. I'm Mr. White. Thanks for watching Test Tech.